What's up, real ones? Welcome back to Redemption 46 Studios. I'm Nick.
안녕, 로입니다.
And I'm Curtis.
End of the vibes. Y'all seen the picture. Y'all seen the thumbnail. Y'all know why y'all here. TXT, the next chapter, concept trailer. This is your first time on the channel, man. Become a real one. Hit that subscribe button. You'll love it here. Also, for content like this, jump on the Patreon, because guess what we getting into today? TXT Mama Performance 2022. I know they got like 3 or 4 joints they did on there, so we about to tackle like a couple of them. It's been a minute too since Bro's been on the channel, just because we've ran through a lot of like I think their title tracks. Still got B-sides to do from them live performances. We did a light guide that's on Patreon, but I definitely want to do an extended one. Yeah, with TXT, I'm just waiting for another drop outside of because the Good Boy Going Bad was the last one I think that we got from them. This concept trailer had dropped a month ago, and people kept telling us to do it. But within the last like 12 days, 2 more dropped. So yeah, I'm not gonna bore y'all with the talk. We can jump into it, I guess, and try to think or talk about kind of what's going on with the concept, and then go from there. It's big hit shit, hype shit, big money. Let's jump into it. They paid him. That's the samples y'all getting into in the album?
Shadow Realm.
I didn't know we was getting a performance.
Wendy, do come with me and tell the other boys. Oh dear, I can't. Besides, I can't fly.
Like
Peter Pan?
Like Peter Pan, Wendy?
Oh, how lovely to fly. I'll teach you how to jump on the wind's back. You might be flying about with me, saying funny things to the stars.
Alice in Wonderland cat?
It looked delightfully easy, and they tried it first from the floor, and then from the beds, but they always went down instead of up.
That art direction's incredible.
I say, how do you do it? Peter did it both slowly and quickly.
What is Peter Pan?
And immediately, he was borne across the room. I flew! He screamed while still in midair. And there is almost nothing so delicious as that. Up and down they went, and round and round.
This is incredible.
Was Wendy's word.
Yo! Oh, that's beautiful. I want a room like that.
That's incredible.
Second to the right, and straight on till morning. That, Peter had told Wendy, was the way to the Neverland. But even birds, carrying maps and consulting them at windy corners, could not have sighted it with these instructions. Peter, you see, just said anything that came into his head. Close your eyes, Wendy. Leave tomorrow behind. Take my hand and let's go to a place where we will never grow old with no words. Forever will never end.
This is incredible. got sucked back into the mirror too. This is mesmerizing. This is fucking incredible.
Kai.
Jesus Christ.
What the hell?
Redeemers. What the fuck was that?
What the hell did we just watch?
That was
What
art.
the moving art? I agree with you 1,000%.
That shit was amazing.
That was one of the most amazing things I've watched on this channel with y'all.
That's probably the most cinematic shit I've ever seen. Yo,
Yo, I
I forgot they started on the beach.
feel like they like, yo, it's cool that, you know what I mean, our brothers in hyphen and team and all that's popping and everything, but gotta remind y'all niggas who was the second act coming out a big hit.
Listen, man.
This was different, man. Sorry for talking like early on and shit with the stuff, but as soon as they had mentioned Wendy and stuff, I instantly thought of Peter Pan, and then they started talking about it, obviously, and then mentioned the Neverland. But it was funny, you got the Alice in Wonderland cat with the eyes and everything. This was amazing. As a director, I was trying to see how they did the wire work.
Yeah.
I've never seen like that. Right now the big thing in Hollywood is to kind of shoot stuff how like the Mandalorian is shooting it. On Treasure's video, not to compare, I Love You, you can see the stuff that they have as far as like those big background screens that like change and do everything.
Yeah.
I've never seen something set up and done this way. This looked like a Shakespearean fucking play
With the
meets
best
really
backdrop
the,
ever.
the craziest backdrop ever.
To tell you the truth, I thought it was almost like Spider-Man in the sense where like the camera's up on, and you're laying on the ground. So the whole twist and turn sequences, they're laying on the ground, but it creates the illusion that it's like lateral
Hell
instead
yeah.
of horizontal.
That's what I'm thinking
I
too.
thought that too, but the
They did so
pulley,
much
the
beyond
pulley
that,
was
though.
too
Yeah.
clean though.
I agree.
I didn't get how they pulled that off with certain shots, like when they all fly up or rather,
Yeah.
or whatever, and that was just.
Unless they laid it across
This
the
right
floor
here
and kind of
is
pulled them
fucking
up.
because
crazy.
That was
because at
incredible.
first I thought maybe you're still just on the floor and the whole screen is there and
Yeah.
it makes an illusion like you're not on the floor.
But then you see
That's
them
too
literally
clean.
moving.
Once
Yeah.
you start seeing everyone kind of rock back and forth, it's just like, oh, okay, it's wire
Oh
work
my God,
involved.
that
No,
shit
they,
was perfect.
they could be on wires, but I still think they could be like kind of on the flat surface.
No,
if
I
that
agree.
makes
No,
sense.
I agree with you.
But no,
Yeah.
that was so well orchestrated and conveyed. It was just like That really was masterful, and ultimately too, because of the 2-dimension look to it, it felt like turning pages in a fairy tale book.
Yeah,
as opposed to
that's
just,
what I got. It felt like, you know, like the whole marionette, the shadow puppet thing, like from Candyman, the newer Candyman. That's kind of what it reminded me of, like how they were doing that and everything, but just like a little bit more like graceful and beautiful. That was so dope. This right here is when they got me, because like I said, I always wanted to be in a room like this where it's just like stars or the solar system around, and like
it's like the inside of Magic Mountain for Disney World or whatever. When you go,
that is what they look like. I went there. I hate Disney World. Hate my experience there.
I'm sorry about that. Hopefully, you can make new experiences. Or something.
Take me?
You're going down there. Yeah, I haven't been in a minute. I would love to go to Disney World. I'm gonna stop at Universal though to go to.
I'm going to Universal. I'm chilling on Disney World. My experience. I had one experience. I don't need to go back.
But that's beautiful. That is kind of what it reminded me.
No,
of.
they really killed this though, as like the whole Lost Boys thing. Like I said, the Peter Pan playing on that and just kind of seeing like boys. This made me think of like Black Swan, like the movie.
Was ridiculous.
This was insane. Like the mirroring and everything in there was fucking nuts.
Because at first I'm like, all right, maybe you just have your body double do it with the same color hair as you. But I thought on the last shot the mask was off and it just was him there.
Yeah.
They spared no expense. I can only imagine what it took, even if a lot of this was done practically, which you know this was. But I can assure you, it probably was a lot of VFX that were subtly done on here.
Yeah.
That you just even wouldn't peep. They snapped. That was a nice match cut that made it look like a one take, but then turned into something else. Then the Dutch angle to go in here, that is just different.
The camera work and the use of choreographed sequences and that mirrored sequence, I suppose, was really just incredible.
That's my bias.
This shit is crazy. They like the movements and everything. Just I know the practicing for this took some time. I know this music has to be epic now to match this. The music has to be fucking epic now, dude. This also made me think of kind of like Inception too. Just going into like different dreams and each sequence and stuff like that.
For got that eerie pitch.
One dream, a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Dream, nightmare, just kind of going back and forth. Then one of these kind of dreams where you don't really know what it means or what's going on and stuff like that. That's kind of what I got. Especially this part. This is the ending part that really tipped me.
The whole John just kind of went.
The house fly up and tilt.
It is funny you mentioned that. As cinematic as this is, I am wanting to hear like what the tracks are gonna sound like, just because of like all the concept. I'm pretty sure you about to dive a little bit deeper into just
Anteam got that damn what you call it, man, under the skin.
Yeah,
that's still going hard in my rotation.
Yeah, and like I said, I was joking earlier about that, but
I know. I'm just saying, like,
respectfully,
like, the cinematic videos from the Hive groups, from N-Hyphen, from TXT. And now Anteam and everything, but seeing where they up the ante with this, I'm excited for all of them. So this is not like a comparison. Like I don't like any one of them. Yeah. It's more so. I'm just like, I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, it's So obviously, we do a lot of back and forth off camera and stuff to talk about kind of where you have like people at, and I do try to keep TXT like within my top 5 because they were an earlier group that I fell in love with. I do think, when it comes to Hype, I'm not trying to turn this into a tangent, TXT had the biggest hurdle compared to anybody else, just because you are literally the first act behind BTS. And I feel like, I'm not going to say with the success of TXT that you get those other groups, but I just feel like you kind of come into a situation where it's like, oh, okay, Big Hit already has, BTS and TXT. They acquire, Playdus and all these other companies. Everything's kind of rocking and rolling. They do Island. You introduce them. You introduce all the newer girl groups like LE SSERAFIM and New Jeans. N-Team drops. So at this point, everything's kind of already rocking and rolling. TXT to me is just something where like this couldn't have worked. You could have caught a lot of flack to be like, oh, it's just another like, BTS group. And I have a lot of respect for them because they didn't count on any of those BTS features or anything to kind of get them buzzing. They did what Big Hit did with BTS, made the group organically, went and just let the talent speak for itself. And now you're getting shit like this. So I do have like a lot of respect for TXT, and I just wanted to re-put that out there. Yeah,
I can't wait for this music to drop.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you talk, Kurt, because like this was half my face during the reaction was just kind of like blown away.
Yeah, I think this might have been the most quiet I've ever been in a reaction.
This was different, man. I really felt like I was like kind of watching spoken word. It almost feels like it was poetry. Like you literally were watching someone kind of have like a whole 6-minute segment of just kind of telling their iteration of Peter Pan.
This is what I expect to see in like Vegas or something like, or Broadway, like this type of in ingenuity and creativity.
How are you supposed to combat this as other studios and shit? Like, obviously you're gonna make good music, and I don't want to turn that into something else. But it's just certain concepts with some of the 4th gen groups, mind you. We've already talked about how some concepts can get played out really quick and everything like that. It just amazes me that you can point to 4 or 5 different things that they've already done, and they seem totally different, but yet still totally big hit. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shut the fuck up, Kurt. How you?
No, you're good.
Good
First and foremost, I just wanted to say, everything, agreeing with what you had said about TXT and just kind of how much of a hurdle they really had to overcome in the sense of like, not saying just living in that shadow or anything, but at least the fear of that possibility, when they had kind of first started. And just what they've been able to achieve has been nothing but incredible. Knowing that they were able to also go to Lollapalooza, and perform, knowing that they were able to perform just for this past New Year's as well. Like the opportunities and everything that they've had in their own right has been something that's really incredible as well. All the music has really hit for me. I like the identity that they seem to be carving out or exploring. Even within like the last album, from the bits that we had seen, it kind of felt like it was like a 5 stages of grief sort of thing. Going from opening sequence, Good Boy Gone Bad, all those things. It just like, so that I like conceptually what that was doing, and that's kind of where my head was at a little bit watching this, is like, where do you, if you're going from something that might have at least represented, if the shoe fits at least, whether it was intended or not, 5 stages of grief, and then it's kind of like where do you go from that? So the whole next concept thing that was kind of where my baseline was, so to speak, where I was like, kind of seeing it more so from that perspective. And then basically kind of the whole, as you had said, the Peter Pan aspects, Wendy, Wonderland, like those sort of, or Alice Wonderland, and then Peter Pan Neverland and everything. And the fantasy elements of it, again, the 2D kind of style with the animation, not to say it is animation, but just to convey that essence of like flipping through like a fairy tale, like a novel like that. So I thought that was so well conveyed. And just the setup and the lighting and everything that they were able to do to create that proper illusion was incredible. And that's even before, the incredible mirror sequence. So I thought all that was so well conveyed as well. But then basically kind of taking it from there, where my mind was at least, was kind of, if they're talking about the fairy tale aspects, then we're going to be getting some sort of aspect of like loss of innocence. You start in this place of, let's just say comfort, because again, they start on the beach, but there's something that's kind of off about it, in the sense that you get, the window sequence, and then what looks like it represents some sort of nightmarish thing. Not necessarily demon or anything, but just something like a metaphorical obstacle or something that's overshadowing you, or whatever the case may be. So whatever piece you kind of feel like you have is short-lived. But then going to that, when they get like kind of sucked into that window or whatever the case is, and then you see like, the whole otherworldly, where that star sequence, which was incredible, by the way. It looked like almost like what's it called, like a planetarium or something like that, where you just 360 kind of spin around and it feels like you're just in space. So I thought that looked really cool as well, and the fact that they were able to bring that to life was something, again, that stood out as well. But it was thematically, what it felt like was kind of like how they take you, if you start in that place of comfort and fairy tale side of it, there's something that's kind of off kilter, and then about your life that you try to escape to this new land or whatever it is, and then essentially by going on the journey you realize something, and then when you return to whatever your home state was before then, you have like this kind of newfound appreciation. You look at dark stories like kind of like Coraline or something like that. And animation is able to play a
Page Master.
And animation is able to play a big role in that, of course, because you can kind of draw shadowy figures and kind of convey certain moods and tones and atmospheres just by setting and artwork alone. So I like that they kept with that in conveying like some of the the ominousness and the terror of kind of what these things would represent. But basically, it feels like it's largely going to be geared towards like loss of innocence, and I know that might be like kind of a blanket statement.
With them, they're all like 20, right?
Yeah,
20
but that's what I'm saying. It's like that
yeah.
growing up kind of stage where it's like if this is the the teens, and obviously we know what the number 19 represents for them age wise, as far as so if they're all around 20.
In a good way, this feels like it might be their wings.
That's certainly
a lot of loss of innocence with wings.
But it's also, mind you, it's like they're on that summer beach kind of looking like a calm setting, but then when they're sucked into that other world, kind of representing more of the fantasy elements, it feels like it's going to be essentially like a temptation in some sort of way. But it's like those are general kind of themes, and I can't quite speak on what it's going to fully represent. But it does feel like it's ultimately going to be geared towards that loss of innocence. But then when they got into I'll save that sequence for last, the mirror sequence, because that was just cinematically like one of the greatest things I've seen, honestly. In regards to staging, production, and how everything was set up,
mirror sequence.
That was incredible. But when they get towards the end and you see that like the house being kind of tilted and everything, again that place of comfort being taken away from you in some regard. But then that choice ultimately at the end where it's kind of like jump out the window, it kind of bookends, because you see the book or the window in the beginning. That's essentially what sucks them in versus being the thing that they then jump out of. But it looks like when they jump out of that window, it looks like it's the same lighting kind of the clouds and everything around it as the beach sequence. So I don't know if that window that they're sucked into in the beginning is what they then jump out of at the end. Yeah. I could be a little off in that, of course, but nonetheless, all that to say that basically whatever represents this place of comfort for you that's then being tilted on its side, whether it's age, because it's something we can't fight, of course. Being against time is something we are always going to have to kind of come to terms with. So then instead of like kind of bracing yourself as that ship is going down, so to speak, to then kind of make the choice to kind of make that leap of faith into whatever is offered next. I do think there's a lot of thematic, tie-ins and things like that could be brought to it, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. And the storyline and the concept is incredibly engaging, and it's again one of the most cinematic things I've really seen. So just the anticipation that I have for whatever they're going to bring musically to everything like that is just above and beyond. But then lastly, thing I was really going to say was that sequence that they had with the mirrors and everything like that. I had seen something similar in regards to like a trick photography kind of thing with some of the mirrored sequences. So I think those things are so incredible in and of themselves. But knowing that you have to work a camera through that glassless mirror that you're kind of using to represent, and then have all the members kind of space out, and then kind of create match cuts within that, and then have the mirrored sequences where it's like you're like, I don't know if there was uses of stunt doubles or anything like that, or if they were just straight up stitch cuts in some regard, but how they filmed that sequence and what they brought to it was just really cinematically so incredibly beautiful. And the choreography of what each of the members had to go through for all of those sequences is just really like it's one of those performances that just pushes the art form so forward, where it's like you see what can be done, and it's just you're constantly raising the bar, and honestly it's just nothing but baffling to me, like in the sense of like that they were able to bring all this to life, and just it's you just can't help but be so proud of them. Mm-hmm. And I want everything that's happening in their career to continue happening, of course, because I've loved how they've evolved from what we've seen, of course, and I know we still have so much more to uncover, of course, but it's just I'm extremely proud of them, and everything that they brought technically to this, both from the Hive side of it, the production, definitely the lighting and visual effects if there were any. Like it was just like you couldn't have done anything better with this, and they just created one of the biggest hypes for like a new project dropping that I really can think of.
Yeah, so two things. One, I want to say like these are those kind of like iconic moments that put certain groups in an upper echelon compared to their contemporaries. I know every time we up here, literally it's like a million BTS moments that people kind of can bring up. I think some are like 5 core moments where it's just like, okay, did anyone say fake love or something up here? I think that was the reaction earlier and shit like that. But just those kind of moments of where it's just like, oh, okay, like y'all got one. My only issue is that as opposed to this being like kind of like a quote unquote concept video, which even like BTS was doing before, where you kind of get like the track video and it's a concept and it'll lead you into the album, even though you would get a little bit of the song in it. Yeah. With as decent as this is, I wish this was pushed more, just kind of like an MV, so it could get more eyes on it. Selfishly, obviously, you know, I trust anything Hybe is just gonna do because the shit been working.
Look at
you know
that
what I mean?
shot, bro.
God's here. Like, you know, so the shit's been working, but I guess the ignorant side of me is just kind of wondering what the plan would be, because this is a month old, and you know, Redeemer's really just been asking us to get into it. And at first I was holding off because I don't really see the point of doing like the teaser trailers or a concept if an MV is gonna come out, but no MV came out. And now you have 2 more concepts after this. So it's just kind of, you know, what are those about? What is the album going to be about? And I'm pretty sure y'all can tell us to clear it up in the comments. But just to kind of circle it back to what I was saying before, these are career defining like moments, in the sense of anytime all of us are kind of shocked and you hear shit like we've never seen this before, that puts those notches in like your group where it's just like, oh, okay, like you're doing something else.
What's funny is, like I said, this isn't a comparison. I'm just going off what happened before. When I saw A-Team's, John, I'm like, yo, Hybe is really going crazy. Just to see this one, you know, 2 months after that, like, damn it, bro. Like I said, the cinematography on this is A1. The
really, we have to check the time. This is a month of some change, so it might have dropped the same time. Everything might have all just dropped.
No, I remember people talking about it on Reddit last month in December. So you
talking about this?
Yeah, they were talking because they were posting pictures from it and everything, like, or at least all 3 of them. Yeah. So
no, I'm just saying. I think like you would have got all that within 2 or 3 weeks of each other. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not too far apart,
Hybe would have just been like, yo, take these new girl groups, take this, take the boys, take all.
Almost like a Comic-Con where it's just like all the
here you go. Dress it up. Yeah. But no, seeing this is fucking amazing. I'm coming down off an edible now. I gotta watch this again probably whenever I take another one, because I know I'm gonna go on like a crazy.
It's like
trip.
I'm scared.
It's an edible. Not
someone touch me.
No wonder the planetarium sequence was.
Yo, I love planetarium sequence. That was amazing.
No, that was incredible.
That was amazing. And then like right there when they first opened up, like that is crazy.
Look at the sequence too, y'all. So everything is up. Look, no one's there with him. Watch when they open back up. Bang. Now everyone's here.
Ironically.
Yeah, so it's like either you cheated that, or you know, I don't even know how everyone will run back in the frame.
They're all mutant.
I mean, you can match cut with a slate of like a dark, you know, slate of a frame. But
I'm just all that to just me say, like, I'm wondering how much was done like in camera versus like kind of like anything else.
There has to be a making of or some kind of thing like that.
Let us know, shit. And to go back to your mirror scene, because I'm not gonna turn this into a long thing, because I do want to jump into the mama like performance. They did a lot of turning their back to the mirror too, and I found that decent just because at that point you no longer can even see if your mirroring is on point. So it's like, Lo, put your hand up. Go. Like, you see how, like, you know what I mean, how we kind of can cheat it and shit. Once we turn our back, and it's soulmates. Like,
we know each other.
It's like, Lo, right arm up. It's just like, so I'm like, don't y'all on point. Yeah. No, but it's like, when imagine like 2 people turning their back and everything like that, and really just trusting a person and stuff. That was unique. Last time I felt like I seen something like that was when J-Hope and Jimin were blindfolded and dancing. So it was
interesting thing about that too is kind of like if you're using the mirror sequence like metaphorically, you know, self-reflection, all that kind of shit, and then you like turn it, and then it's like I'm turning my back essentially on my reflection. It creates a divide where you're talking either other universe or divides within yourself. So it's just thematically that opens up so much as well. But then, you know, the timing and of actually getting those things down is all the more complicated.
I found it funny that after they learned how to fly like Peter Pan, they still had to face their true self, to fight themselves, to really better themselves as human beings and to face their fears.
And I'm not even going to try to tie this in.
Now what else? No, keep going.
I'm trying.
I got your back.
Look at the feathers. It's after they learned how to fly. They got their wings.
After they were caught.
You gotta begin somewhere.
I am praying that's the energy they own with this project, because that's what it seems like. Like just everything on Wings, all the themes, no particular something, just in general, just kind of like the vibe. It feels like that moment for them. So I can't wait to see the music. I just want the music to match this, because you'll get trailers like these nowadays and it doesn't live up. The last one where that happened was Careless Lover Boy by Drake. The trailer he dropped for that John was so dope. It was calling back to the previous albums and everything with like the shots. The cinematography was amazing. We could pull it up after this, but that shit was so amazing.
I knew we weren't getting anything from that. That album was called Certified Lover Boy. I knew we weren't.
I didn't know how bad it was how bad some of them.
Her loss sounds like okay, we more in the toxic form.
And with that, but no, like I said, I just hope the music really lives up to it. I hope they take the same.
Watch them jump backwards.
I hope they take the same leaps and bounds with production and musically and artistically as a group. I hope that's what this is for them, because that's what it feels like, and that's what this trailer feels like. Don't just, like I said, I hate to just be watching this trailer over and over.
Yeah. Two things. If I'd have jumped backwards, I'd have hit my fucking head at the top of that frame. That shit was like,
you be all right,
he's sleep.
You gotta believe in yourself.
They just like take two.
Yeah, I am on the type time, and I wanted to word it a little bit differently. Where I do hope you'll get like a Wings S album. Obviously, and shit, you want them to be like their own people, of course, and like to do everything. But I get what you mean, where it's more so artistically, and as far as like with the quality and the content. Like that's a high praise and shit. Y'all know how I feel about that. It's my favorite BTS album and shit. So it's just like, comparing anything to that and shit means that like your album be a masterpiece and essentially probably your best album that y'all have, respectfully. But yeah, anything else you want to add, Kurt, before we get into this mama stuff?
The last thing I was really gonna add is just kind of when they got into that sequence where like they got like stuck back into like the orb or whatever the case may be. It kind of really made me think a little bit, especially with the color presentation of everything, going from like that summer kind of beach setting that's supposed to be more comforting and alluring into that like cold like blue and darkness. It made me really think of Frost as far as the MV, and I don't know if they're tying anything into any of those kind of things, but nonetheless it kind of made me think a little bit of that, especially with the kind of temptation aspect of being sucked into the new world and whatever it offers there, and then trying to escape in some kind of way. And if I remember correctly, at the end of that video, there was still, the thing staying with them in that regard. But that's neither here nor there, of course. But just nonetheless, it made me interested to see how this ties into any of the other music videos, or if there was any kind of Easter eggs or anything like that. And I'm sure, of course, fans will be able to tell us, about those things. Like, oh, this was in, the Can't You See Me video or things like that. So I'm just really engaged, and the storytelling and the artistry behind everything is just so well told and so well thought out that, it's just an incredible time to, be able to see this stuff.
Yeah, jump in the comments. Tell us how y'all felt about this. Tell us where y'all rank this at as far as those cinematic moments in K-pop, especially for people that have been around for a long time, or just avid lovers of K-pop who might be new but have digested a lot of content. Jump in the comments. Tell us how y'all felt about this. Also, jump on the Patreon if you can. We'll be doing the Mama performances for 2022. I understand that some people can't jump on the Patreon due to either restrictions to where you're at or also just money. It is harder to drop any of those mamas. Most of them always come up blocked on YouTube. So I'm going to try my best to do some YouTube-friendly stuff for people who can't get on the Patreon. But jump on there, yo. It's a fun time for $5. You'll really enjoy it. And I'm pretty sure they about to kill everything we about to get into. But we love you guys. We're going to holla at y'all.
Take care.